When I think of my nostalgia for Kingdom Hearts 1, I remember a great deal of issues I kept encountering that just prevented me from having much fun. It seemed like every element was just working against me and I couldn't get the game to click. And after rewatching my playthrough, I've decided to place it behind Evolution Worlds. Here's why. While playing through the game, I certainly had an idea of what I was hoping to receive from it. Having played it once before long ago, there was a nice bit of nostalgia that compelled me to relive those moments. Unfortunately, I found out very early on that this was not the same experience I once had. There were significant barriers put up to halt my enjoyment, and the biggest was the camera. In many sequences and scenarios, it felt like it had a mind of its own and was very unwieldy to use. It provided no end of frustration and was without a doubt the most common complaint. That, coupled with the complexity of the mechanics not drawing me in, created a rough early patch for the game. In my thoughts, I very explicitly said that I didn't like the game, to the point where I could even consider saying it wasn't a good game to begin with. The flaws of the game were great, and the positives of the game weren't strong enough to carry it to enjoyment status. The story had felt non-existent, where the hook was to find Kairi and Riku while eventually stumbling upon a plot by Ansem. It lacked connectivity and elaboration, which was exacerbated by the inclusion of the Disney worlds. Their purpose felt unnecessary at best and were guaranteed to be a waste of time. I also finalized my opinions on the camera, stating that it was the most atrocious thing I'd had the displeasure of using and accounted for 60% of my dislike for the game. I also felt that the combat and gameplay was unrefined and simplistic, the lack of direction on where to go was frustrating, and the item management was too time-consuming. Ultimately, I described Kingdom Hearts 1 as frustrating to play and a slog to get through. For the rewatch, I admittedly didn't get to experience the gameplay frustrations to nearly the same degree. In many instances, the camera seemed to work in an acceptable fashion outside of some edge cases. The combat, while certainly feeling simplistic, got the job done and the customization options seemed neat. It certainly lacked in diversity, but it was functional. The portions where I start to largely agree with my past self ended up being the story and design. Many of the boss fights, if not arguably all of them, have a large degree of annoyance attached to them. Bosses running away, untargetable for lengthy periods of time, or have sequences of attacks that make the fight just slower than it should be. They became tedious and I questioned their purpose, considering they all basically had two forms or phases. The story is certainly where I feel the biggest pitfall lies, though. Like my past self, I found it difficult to reconcile how the Disney worlds fit. There are hooks with the princesses, but that felt very much like an afterthought. The worlds themselves are basically retreading the original Disney stories and have no actual importance or relevance. I could understand if our mission was to save all the princesses and the story was crafted around that. Instead, we're just jumping from world to world, meddling in their affairs and looking for Riku and Kairi. Based on memory, I ranked Kingdom Hearts 1 at 112 out of 117, and this feels like a great example of a product of its time. In 2002, this felt like a revolutionary experience and a very unexpected crossover. It had this magical nature about it and this allure of mystery. Today, it feels dated and filled with holes. It lacks the nuance and subtleties to tease for a greater story, as well as the writing, storyboarding, and execution of a cohesive narrative to build something up. Its characters fail to grow and have an arc to them, while villains come and go without any investment or reason to engage with them. Words, phrases, and jargon are thrown about without taking the time to explain what they are, why they are important, and why they matter to us. It spews power of friendship nonsense to no end but disregards it when you think it would lean on it, only to then use it as a crutch when a deus ex machina is needed. You have situations like when Riku expresses that he wants to release Kairi's heart from Sora, only for Sora to prevent Riku from doing that and potentially and/or effectively killing Riku. Then, after the battle, where there is no mourning for his friend, Sora stabs himself with Riku's Keyblade so that he can release Kairi's heart, which is what Riku wanted to do in the first place. So, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 comes up behind Evolution Worlds. It really does struggle to have redeeming qualities, and when you look beyond the already sketchy surface, more and more inconsistencies and unfun experiences crop up. The Disney tie-in feels like filler, which is 80% or more of the game, and it just feels like it could do so much more with the pieces it's already using.